Hi, ladies. Welcome to today's live broadcast. Are you a fleabagger? I just think that's a fabulous new term. But even though there's so many new modern day dating trends and terms, they're really just a repeat of bad behavior through generations, and they just keep renaming the same old bad behavior. So I thought it'd be interesting to talk about this term fleabagging, and it came from, and you may have seen the series, the hit BBC Prime TV series Fleabag. I've watched a couple episodes, and so I thought it was kind of good, entertaining. And so I think that fleabagging or fleabaggers can happen to any of us. We can either be a fleabag, or we can be dating somebody who's fleabagging us. So let's talk about that a little bit more. But before I jump into today's content, I just want to welcome the ladies on Facebook. I have two cameras today. I have one that's I'm addressing the Facebook ladies. So when I'm looking over, talking to them, I'm actually talking to all of you at the same time, but YouTube has a separate camera. And so that's why I go back and forth with my eyes. I just like to let you know what I'm doing. So I just want to welcome you here on YouTube. Thank you for being here. Yay. So nice to connect with you. And so fleabagging, like I was saying before, is just a new term for some old bad behavior. And it's not even, sometimes it's just more of a pattern, a pattern that you get stuck in. And so there's two types of fleabaggers. One that goes back to the same person who doesn't treat you well over and over again. And then you may have experienced this, right? You get into a relationship, it's toxic, you know it's not good for you, but you keep going back. You just can't seem to break away. There's some kind of payoff that's happening. I'm going to talk about that in a minute, because these videos that I make for you, it's great to cover the online dating and all the basic superficial. And when I say superficial, I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean the things that are on the surface that we need to discuss. But essentially where my heart is and what this channel is really about, and why I do the lives on Facebook, and what my company really stands for, is helping women to create conscious relationships. And I think dating is the perfect way to do that, because dating requires us to become more intimate with our own personal behavior. After we get out of the pointing fingers at the men and blaming them for everything that's happening to us, we can start to see the dating platform as an opportunity to look deeper within, to become more intimacy into me, I see, on why I do what I do, why I think what I think, and how I got where I am, instead of blaming others. So that's really what this channel is about. Once you learn to look within and can do that work, life gets so much easier. Your dates get so much funner. You have such a better time relating and creating healthy relationships from that place. So just want to make sure that we're all on the same page as what I'm really doing here, what my mission is. So in doing that, though, sometimes we have to talk about fleabagging. So going back to that, so, getting involved with the toxic person, or maybe you're that toxic person. And I've been in a place in my life where the toxic might be too strong of a word, but where I was maybe the fleabagger, and I was, the person that was, being shallow, being superficial, not really looking for anything more, and not really just showing up 100%. And so that's really what fleabagging can do. It's someone who you go through different men, you're dating different men, and you maybe aren't treating them well. Maybe you've been hurt in the past, so you only will show up and do certain things, and then they tolerate it. Or turn that around, and you date men who don't treat you well, and you keep going back to the same toxic situations because you're kind of hooked on it. And then the other type of fleabagging is somebody who goes on several dates, or maybe just one date, and says the date was fine, but they don't make an effort, or you don't make an effort to organize it again. And so it all comes down to fleabaggers or fleabagging. It's all about the chase. That's where whoever's doing it, the man or the woman, that's where they get the juice. It's addicted to the chase. Even if somebody isn't right for them, they've got and we'll call it a bad boy fetish, since I'm really talking to the women here. And so, have you ever been addicted to a bad boy? And it's interesting because the highs are so high. So that's kind of what fleabagging is. The highs are high. You're getting some kind of payoff. There's some kind of attention that you're getting that you want to keep coming back for, even if there's a lot of lows, because you're so addicted to those highs. And then breaking it off with somebody like that, even if you're not in an inclusive relationship, breaking it off with someone like that is very hard. And, it can be as hard as giving up an addiction. That's what kind of attachment you create chemically and emotionally. And so that's why it can be really hard to shake it. But on a deeper level, what's really happening is you're in a pattern that started the minute you were born and has perpetuated itself into your life and is now showing up in this way in your relationships. And so if you're experiencing this, or if you have, it's a good time to reflect on the behavior that you might have received or didn't receive. So it's not necessarily what's done to you sometimes when we're talking about our patterns, but it could also be what wasn't done. A lot of our compulsive behaviors or patterns that we unconsciously, involuntarily repeat is driven by what we didn't receive as children, didn't receive the love, acceptance, and boundary protection that we need as a child. So then as an adult, we consistently and continually unconsciously are looking for that approval, that love, and that acceptance. And so we get tangled up in the flea bagging situations, right? We get tangled up with the bad boys. And because we're getting some kind of payoff, we're getting that attention, we're getting those highs, and it feels so good when we're the object of somebody's focus and their attention. And then when it's removed, it's such a low. And that's exactly how that pattern continues to perpetuate itself in your life. And then you'll end up saying, why is this happening to me again? Because unconsciously you're replicating situations in an attempt to heal that original lack of love, lack of approval that you didn't receive, or maybe you received too much attention, and not the good kind as a child. And so, you really want to explore these kind of patterns, because until you do and you explore them and heal them, they continue to perpetuate in your dating. And that's why you say, I only attract emotionally unavailable men. Well, there's some part of you that could be emotionally unavailable to that pattern. And so you're a match to emotionally unavailable men because you're used to being emotionally unavailable, because there was a time in your life that it wasn't safe for you to be emotionally available. And that's typical as a child. Parents are fighting, or parents that are absent, they're not emotionally available. So you don't really learn how to be emotionally available because you're not modeled that by your caretakers. And that's how this shows up later. But don't worry, do not despair. You can totally change and shift out of this behavior very easily if you're committed to doing that. If you're tired of having relationships that don't go anywhere, then that will be the motivation. The consequences, unfortunately, prove to be the biggest motivating factor, because pain is the motivator, right? When things are going great, we have very little motivation to make changes in our life, but pain can be the catalyst for change. So if you're experiencing any pain right now in your dating relationships, just know that you can use that pain as an indicator that there's something going on. Just like when you have a headache and you want to reach for the Tylenol, it's like, wait a minute, what caused the headache? The Tylenol will mask the symptoms, but what really caused the headache? You've got to get to the cause, because otherwise you're going to continue to have the effects. Hi, Linda. Hi, Wendy. Welcome. Tracy, nice to see you. Okay, so let's jump over. That's kind of all I have to say about the flea bagging. I just wanted to touch on it and then go a little deeper. But I'd love to answer some questions, and I want to invite those of you who are not having a lot of success right now, or maybe you are and you want some coaching from me. Right now, I've opened a complimentary Facebook group on Facebook. So if you'd like to join our complimentary group, please hop on over to Facebook, and just in the search bar, put Swipe Right Program, and it'll pop up. and ask to join, and I'll accept you into the group so we can provide, me and my wonderful love coaches can provide some support for you and give you some dating coaching. And we're in there 24/7. We've got a nice group of women. We'd love to have you join. Sorry, men, it's just for the ladies at this time. But please take advantage of this opportunity. I don't open the complimentary groups very often, and I would love to work with you in a more private, intimate setting. So I hope that you'll take advantage of that. Swipe Right program on Facebook. It's a Facebook group, and so let me answer some questions. Hi, Clay. Thanks for being here. And I have to say, I have to give you a little acknowledgement, Clay. I really appreciate the comments you post on my YouTube channel. He's been providing great insights. I don't know him personally, but he seemed to be showing up as a gentleman. And I just really appreciate the feedback. And he's also providing feedback occasionally on his point of view. And I find his point of view that I resonate with it. So thank you for that, Clay. I really appreciate it. Hi, Faith. Thank you. Okay, Thomas, you're invited to leave my channel. I'm really tired of getting your posts. It's really distracting. But and we're all on to you. So we've got this naysayer, we'll call him a Debbie Downer, who's consistently showing up and posting while I'm going live. And believe me, Thomas, it's not bothering me. It's just a waste of your time because I'm not getting triggered by your posts. They're just a waste of time, like I said. If you don't resonate with what I'm sharing, why waste your time and be here, right? And so you're welcome. So let's see. Questions. I'm getting some questions. Yeah. I don't see a lot of questions. Okay. I've gone through the process to forgive myself and now want to go to people I've harmed that are still in my life to acknowledge the hurt I caused them. Do you do that? That is such a wonderful question, Susan. Thank you for asking. So she's going through the process of forgiving herself for her perceived past mistakes. And she wants to know if I go and have apologized to people that I have wronged. And so, no. I would say, generally speaking, no. And so I had made a lot of, and I've talked about this publicly, my life before I woke up, spiritually speaking, and did the work on myself and healed and changed my behavior that was toxic based on what happened to me as a child. I used to act out a lot, had a hot head, very abrasive personality. And so I had a lot of regret, when I woke up, and I was overwhelmed with the amount of regret. But did I personally apologize to people? No, because life happens, and I'm not responsible for everything that happened. So there's two people involved in most scenarios. So what I did was I shifted, I changed, and if I saw them again, I was different. And I could see that in a lot of cases, they could see that I had matured, and so had they. So I didn't felt that it was appropriate. Now, when it came to my children, I thought that was something that I felt was very important to speak to them as adults, to explain to them, not excuse my behavior, explain where I was coming from, etc. And with my ex-husband, we had lots of heart-to-hearts where there was a lot of moments of forgiveness and expressing remorse and regret, etc. But generally speaking, you want to be careful because it could be a boundary violation against yourself. You could be opening yourself up to an attack that it's not may not be safe for you, emotionally speaking. So you want to just temper those apologies with, when you forgive yourself. So let's talk about forgiveness. Forgiveness is a self-protection mechanism. We forgive to release ourselves from the toxicity that the incident created. Okay, it's not about excusing or condoning bad behavior. So when you forgive yourself, you release yourself so that you can move on. And that's why I'm not recommending you go and apologize to everybody, because you need to move on. Sometimes if you go and open that door again, it creates more drama. And so you're going to have to base that on a person by person. I think the people that are in your inner circles, they would probably appreciate you becoming really intimate with them. But everyone else, just, if you just have to play that by ear. I hope that helps. That's at least my guide. And let's see, any more questions? What do you think about 19 years age difference in relationships? Oh, good question. It just depends on, I feel that when we're younger, then there's a big age span in relationships. It can be fun, but it's going to be a big challenge for you because of obviously the life experience. Now, when we get older, I feel that's a different, especially when we're past our childbearing years, for example, then, we're mature women, or at least we hope we are. And 20 years is like 40 and 60. It could totally work, right? I'm 50 and 70. I mean, I think that you have to just keep in mind that if your man's older than you, you're going to be experiencing some very different situations. Younger than you, you're also going to be experiencing different situations. So there's risks in everything in life, but the bigger the risk, the bigger the gain. So if you're enjoying this person and they treat you well, I say go for it, with being mindful that because we have different life experiences every decade, that at some point you may not have things in common. And so I hope that helps answer that question. And so any other questions coming from YouTube? And what about, I'm really happy to hear that. We've got a wonderful woman over on Facebook who's has a wonderful boyfriend, and she's just doing great. And she's just posting in the thread how great she's doing. Tracy, I'm so happy for you. That's awesome. Hi, Brenda. So ladies, you have any questions for me? Hi, Tamara. Just scrolling through Facebook. Hi, Debbie, to see if there's any questions. Magenta dress. This is a Trina Turk dress, and my favorite thing about this dress is the detail in the sleeves. Isn't that fun? And I just love it, and I love this color. So Trina Turk on the dress. Okay, I don't see a lot of questions. Let's see. I have a past boyfriend who keeps trying to get back into my life, and it's upsetting me. What do you suggest? Great question. I suggest blocking him on social media. I suggest blocking him from your phone. I suggest deleting every text he ever sent you, every email he ever sent you. Just kind of getting rid of his energy around you. And I would not engage him, whether he calls you, and again, block it, and just really do not engage him. Eventually he will fall away, but there must be something. I don't know if there's something you're doing that he still has access to you. And so, I hate those hanger-oners. And I recommend just, making sure that there's no open doors where he can reach out to you. I don't know about, like on Instagram, if you can block somebody from liking your posts. And so I'm sorry that you're having that experience. Any advice on dating when you have an obvious health issue? Oh, good question. So, I'll share with you. I had a client who was on a cane, and she was really worried that the men were going to see it and not want to take her out. And she felt like she should share that up front. And so here's what I suggested that she do. And she actually had some success with this. And so I recommend that she got to the restaurant first, was seated, have her cane leaning up against the chair so it was not hidden, it was visible. And so when her date would come in, he would come in and he could notice that there was a cane there. And then she would, stand up, introduce herself, and they would have a dialogue, and he'd probably end up asking her about it. And from that place, she could share, the bullets about what she was experiencing. So I don't really recommend that we lead with that up front. I wear hearing aids. I don't feel compelled to tell everybody that I was dating that I wear hearing aids, or that I on the phone or anything. So there's probably not as relevant to a health issue, but I think that you don't need to disclose those things until you decide that this could be a potential match. So you go on a date, you hit it off, things are going well. You go on a second date, play it by ear. I had another client years ago who had cancer, and she asked, should I share it with my dates? I'm like, no, because you're going to heal the cancer, and she did. She's cancer free. No need to disclose that. It's private, and she had treatment, and she's 100% fine right now. So, and then as far as when you're intimate with somebody, you want to wait until that day comes. Maybe it doesn't show up, so there's no need to disclose any kind of scars or anything like that. So just play it by ear. You don't want to violate your own boundaries by making yourself, microscopically vulnerable, and then having somebody not have a healthy response to, maybe they just are caught off guard. Maybe they had an incident with a family member and it surprises them, and their reaction could be harmful to you. And so you want to hold your cards close and observe them. And so it's a boundary rule of thumb. You share a little bit, see how it's received, share a little bit more, see they share a little bit, you see how you receive that. And you continue to do this boundary dance where your trust is incrementally given and earned. Because remember, trust is gained in inches and lost in miles. So you don't want to share your whole life story up front because it may not be safe to do that. And also, it's just too much information. And so let me answer one more question. And don't forget about my the complimentary Facebook group happening over it's open right now. We're ready to coach you even after this live call. Go to Swipe Right Program on Facebook search bar, ask to be admitted, and we'll let you in. And also, I have a quiz out right now. It's called the swiperightquiz.com. You can just go there. And why this is important is you're going to get one of 3 results. And those results are going to help you to kind of pinpoint where you might be challenged in. And then when you come into the Facebook group, we can start to help you in that specific area because you've already established where you're struggling. And that's why this quiz is so helpful for me and my coaches to help you. So go to swiperightquiz.com, take the quick quiz, 10 questions, and you'll get a result. Then you can share the result with me, or here on YouTube, you can put it in the comments, and then I'll know what your challenges have been, and we can coach you. But I'd love to see you in the Facebook group. Okay, last question. How do you know if you're dating to learn and find the right man, or if you are just fleabagging? Okay, well, that's a great question. I'm really glad you brought that back. So fleabagging is basically dating and there's some toxicity involved. There's some negative patterns. So you're not being treated well, or you're not treating men well. And maybe that's because you've been hurt and you're angry, and so you're etc. And so I'm going to read the question again. How do you know if you're here to learn and find the right man, or if you're just fleabagging? So by the way you feel, if you're having really big highs in dating with a particular person and then real lows, that would indicate that you're being fleabagged or you're fleabagging, because that's what fleabagging is bad boys. You have lots of attention, everything's really grand and grandiose and it feels so good, and then they might disappear for a week and then they come back. So the low is like, woo, what happened to him? It's not like ghosting. They actually come back and they do another grandiose act, and maybe it's just dinner and they make you feel great, and then they disappear again. And so it's easy to get stuck in that cycle because it feels so good and you want more of that, but it's not sustainable and it's really unhealthy. And really what you're looking for, and what I talked about earlier, is that approval. You're looking for somebody to see you. We all are looking for that. Everybody on this planet is looking for that kind of connection. So just know that it's normal that you have approval issues. We all do. We come out into the world and we learn from the minute we're born that all of the things that we need to survive are externally available. Our parents provide food, shelter, love, acceptance, etc. So we learn that. So it's a core fundamental issue that we as adults have to address and learn to meet all those needs from within. And that's why you keep getting stuck in these patterns with men, is because you haven't learned that, oh, it's my job. It's an inside job. I've got to take that responsibility over that my parents had or my caretakers had, or at least tried to do for me. And now I have to do that for myself. And that will take all the pressure off your relationships. You're welcome, Margaret. Okay. One more question. There's so many questions coming in on YouTube. And I really appreciate the question. Thank you so much. So I'm just reading. I was talking to this guy for a week and a half. 2 to 3 hours a day. He was really talking about the future, and all of a sudden he blocked me, and I don't know why. What should I do? I'm sorry that happened to you. And so basically what I will say to that is that you don't want to talk to a man 2 to 3 hours a day, not even in a text, because you're creating some kind of false sense of a relationship. Texting or talking cannot ever replace human contact. That's why I really encourage all of you. It's very important that you go from online dating to a chat room, to a phone call, and onto a first date as soon as humanly possible, because that's where you'll know how they're showing up in real life, if there is a connection. Otherwise, it's easy to create some magical thinking around some kind of connection you create on a phone. But that's just a part of how you interact with people. It's not the whole package. And your relationship ultimately is with somebody in real time, in the flesh. So it's easy to get trapped into magical thinking, so to speak, when you're talking to a man on the phone. He can paint a picture that feels and seems very real. And of course, when you have a longing, you can get caught up in that. But it's not really happening. And that's what magical thinking is. So he disappeared. Maybe that's what he does. Maybe he enjoys, doing this to women. But more importantly is that he already knew so much about you. There's no mystery left. The chase is over and the excitement's gone. And you've told him everything about yourself. So what else? What more? And maybe you told him too much, So I don't recommend that. I recommend just getting on the chats, getting on the phone, and getting on the dates as quickly as possible, and not allowing those pen pal or phone call relationships to flourish, because they usually don't go anywhere. So I'm sorry that happened to you. I hope that helps. All right, ladies and gents, thank you for being here. I will be, let's see, I have my next live broadcast. I have a special promotion coming up to help you this spring. And I'm starting a mini video training series that's going to start next Tuesday. I'll be live Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday of next week with hot topics. And I'm going to be inviting all of you to that. So if you're on my email list, you'll be getting an invitation. And if you're not, take that swiperightquiz.com and it'll put you on my database, and you'll be getting notifications about everything that's coming your way. I've created a fabulous new training, and it's going to lead to some other things that I know you've been needing, because I've been following the questions. And so I created and providing something fabulous for you. Okay, ladies and gents. Thanks for being here. Lots of love. I'll see you on Tuesday at 3 p.m. right here on Facebook and YouTube. Bye.